Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for joining us today to commemorate the Chalismo of Marhum Akber Jaffer and Marhuma Saida Jaffer. We will inshallah start with the recitation of Surah Al-Mulk by Brother Muhammad Abbas Jaffer, followed by a munajat by Brother Kamal Abbas Jaffer. Please welcome them with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق سبع سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسوقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين
Ahsan all the boss. We'll now have a munajat by Kumail Abbas. Kumail Abbas, when you're ready.
बर मोहम्मद वआल मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु मोहम्मद वआल मोहम्मद। जब खुदा को पुकारा अली आ गए, जब अली आ गए जिंदगी आ गई, जिंदगी बंदगी रोशनी आ गई, रोशनी आ गई आ गई आ गई। जब खुदा को पुकारा अली आ गए, जब अली आ गए जिंदगी आ गई। मौत इनके मुहिब्बों को आती नहीं, आ भी जाए तो फिर बच के जाती नहीं। मौत का क्या खतर, मौत से क्या है डर, इससे बचना भी क्या आ गई। जब खुदा को पुकारा अली आ गए, जब अली आ गए जिंदगी आ गई। गुस्ल मैयत न कहना मेरा गुस्ल को, मुझने मलबूस को मत कफन नाम दो। मैं चला हूँ अली से मुलाकात को, जिसकी थी आरज़ू कभी आ गई। जब खुदा को पुकारा अली आ गए, जब अली आ गए जिंदगी आ गई। जिसका मौला था मैं उसका मौला अली, जब नबी ने कहा दीन कामिल हुआ। मरहबा मुस्तफा रब्बी राजी हुआ, वो जो आना थी आयत वही आ गई। जब खुदा को पुकारा अली आ गए, जब अली आ गए जिंदगी आ गई। जब खुदा को पुकारा अली आ गए, जब अली आ गए जिंदगी आ गई। जिंदगी बंदगी रोशनी आ गई, रोशनी आ गई आ गई आ गई। बर मोहम्मद वाल मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मोहम्मद वाल मोहम्मद।
Ahsan, mashallah, very well recited, Kumail Abbas. Next up, we will have our Majlis by Marhum Mullah Asghar Jaffer, who was the brother of Marhum Akber Jaffer. Please recite the Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has clearly mentioned that sabr or patience, as we roughly translate it into English, sabr is of three types, or rather, it has three stages. The Prophet has clarified this. The word used is sabr. In English, it is forbearance or patience. In Arabic, it has got so many meanings, one has to be very careful as to the context of the word used. Now here, sabr, the Prophet said that there are three types of sabr. One is sabr or patience at the time of enticement, when one is enticed to go and commit a sin, temptation. There is a temptation, strong temptation that one would commit that sin. At that time, to control oneself requires patience. That also is sabr. In the case of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, there is a vivid example. A young man of good looks, very handsome he was, and so there was a temptation by Zulaykha, for example. We have already passed that part of the story. At that time, to control one's passions and emotions from falling into the sin, that is a temptation. That is one. That is called the temptation of the flesh. But then in business also, an offer has come which is haram. Somebody comes and says, can I just deliver the cigarettes from the back door? 50%. It's a temptation. It's a temptation that something is coming for nothing. If I buy and sell this, I'll earn more profit. Knowing full well that this is haram because it is stolen goods. And they buy it. And they earn out of it. And when they are arrested, then they make a niyaz for getting released. There is another for that, for the stolen goods purchased. And then Hazrat Abbas is another. For the goods which were stolen and purchased, which should not have been purchased in the very first instance because it was haram to buy them. Temptation. And to be able to sit at one place and talk something useful and constructive, there is the temptation to do ghibat and backbiting, because it is much more interesting to talk about somebody else than to talk about something useful. Because if you talk about something useful all the time, then they say you are a Mr. Boring, because all the time you talk something serious. Why don't you have something frivolous to talk about? Something like ghibat and tohmat and all that, so that there is a lively sitting. There is a temptation. A temptation for ghibat is so strong that a passing person would like to sit also, whether he is connected with it or he is not connected. At that particular time, a man, the time of namaz has entered. It is 4:30 today, or 4:25. I don't want to go to the mosque either for namaz-e-jamaat. If there is namaz-e-jamaat's excuse, then at least we can say, all right, he's waiting for namaz-e-jamaat. Ella Gulpayagani has given this fatwa that if a person knows that he is going to join namaz-e-jamaat, then he can wait, even if time of fadilat passes, provided he is sincerely intent upon joining Salat al-Jama'ah. But let us say there is no program in the mosque, there is neither Thursday nor Friday, and there is a TV program which cannot be missed. That is the time when the temptation is to view the program and allow the time of Salat to pass. There is nothing else to do but to view the program, and that temptation, that namaz It will not be qada, but this program will become qada. At that particular moment, there is a test, and there is a test at every stage in life. That is as-sabru in the musibah, that is when you are in difficulties, was-sabru anil ma'asiyah. And then the Prophet said, then there are certain orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which also require sabr. A friend comes and says, Mullah Sahab, there is khums due upon me for the last 3 years. It is credited in the book, of course. But you see, when I start writing the check, my hand trembles. Can't write the check. The sum is very big, too big for me to write. But it is in the book it is mentioned. But I can't write. When I write the check, my hand shakes. Why? Because ta'ah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me pay it off, there is a test there. Beginning from there till end, to be able to tell at home, Amr bil Ma'ruf, to your sons and daughters to rise up for namaz in the morning. Namaz al-subuh is wajib, is not sunnah. And even for oneself to rise for wajib, it has got a test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O Prophet, to rise in the night, that means even for mustahab namaz al-shab, is the most difficult test of a person. To rise for namaz al-shab is not a joke. That is sunnah. But namaz al-subuh is not sunnah, namaz al-subuh is wajib. To tell one's family to rise for namaz. Many people say, Mullah Sahab, I can't tell my wife and my children because they'll be offended. Well, for the sake of not offending your son or your daughter, you are not waking them up for namaz subh. It's a test. Hajj is wajib. Inshallah, next year, till death approaches, doesn't go. Every year there is one excuse. Either it is very hot in Makkah, or people are dying this year, or I'm afraid I'll contract meningitis, or something and all, until at last one suddenly goes into the grave without Hajj. But Hajj is not Hajj if there was no difficulty in it. It has got to have some difficulty. When Ayatollah Gulpayagani became a mujtahid, A'lam, acknowledged recently after the passing away of Ayatollah Al-Khoy, Quddisa Sirruh, one of the things which came to me surprisingly was that Ayatollah Gulpayagani is a very difficult mujtahid to follow. Why? Because there are certain masail which are very, very difficult. That means we are now trying to change according to our own whims. We are now in search of a mujtahid who will tomorrow tell us namaz subuh is maaf. And this is sabr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرُ. Who fears God, exercises patience. These are the patiences. Not only sabr for musibah, but sabr in his obedience, and also sabr in his in not committing the sins, and many more. It is such a vast subject. One of the things in sabr is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, one reaches the pinnacle, the summit of sabr, when one is able to speak the truth even against oneself, knowing that if I speak the truth, it's going to harm me. But truth must be spoken. To own a truth, to say something true, knowing that it's going to harm myself, but it is true. At that moment, if a person doesn't speak lies or doesn't even abstain, but speaks out the truth, the Prophet says that man has reached the pinnacle of iman, sabr, because he knows I'm going to suffer. Well, when they saw Yusuf and now they understood that this is our brother, immediately in their mind, they tried to reminisce and recollect everything that has passed. They started remembering from the day one when they dropped him in the well. And now they looked in amazement and they said, Qalu, they say, Tallahi, by God, لَقَدْ آثَرَكَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. God has given you privileges and preference over us. That means you are in a better position than we are. We put you into the well, we sold you as a slave, and we sold you for some of the dirham which were not even in currency. We got rid of you. Then they don't know what happened to Yusuf, but Yusuf knows what has happened to him. After having put you into all difficulties and having lived a comfortable life, لَقَدْ آثَرَكَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. God has given you the privilege and the preference over us. That means you are in a better position. This here, Aimma alayhimus salam in tafsir have said that there is one thing in which you will not be able to guide Allah. Let Allah guide. And that is the position and situation of anyone. If Allah wants to give him honor and respect, He will give, regardless of whether you like it or you don't. He wants to give wealth to someone, make him wealthy, He will give. He will not consult you. It is His will. He gives. When He wants to give any particular blessing, it is from Him. And when the whole world starts to undermine Him, to defeat Him, to blame Him and smear His name, or even to snatch away His wealth from Him, Allah has willed, nothing can happen. Your rizq cannot go if Allah has destined. This is what Allah says. لَقَدْ آثَرَكَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. The brothers say, Yusuf, you are in a better position than we are. وَإِن كُنَّا لَخَاطِئِينَ. There is no doubt that we were the sinners. قَالَ لَا تَثْرِيبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْيَوْمِ. Immediately Yusuf said, don't worry, there is no reproach for you today. That means I'm not going to criticize you or censure you. Forget everything that has passed. يَغْفِرُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Allah will forgive you and pardon you. وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. He is the most merciful. The magnanimity, the greatness of the heart of Yusuf, that to say that Allah will forgive you and I am not going to make any reproach today, was based on one particular thing, my friends, and I repeat this every time, that this was the question of blood relationship, blood. Mu'mineen and mu'minat, remember this. There is nothing more sacred in Sharia than Sila-e Raham. And this Raham is not mercy. This Raham means the womb. Raham-e Madar, womb of the mother. Sila-e Raham means the connection of the womb. That means consanguinal relationship of the blood. My brother, my sister, my parents, my children, those with whom I am connected by blood. The Prophet said, never cut off that relation, even if your counterpart, the opposite, is not cooperative. You don't cut it off. To put it in very blunt and simple words, I have a brother who does not talk to me. For me, it is wajib to talk to him and say, Assalamun alaikum. And when he is ill, to go and visit him and to keep my relationship with him, in spite of the fact that he does not. Because Qat'a Raham is the gunah, major sin which has got so many problems. Yusuf alayhi salam mended that sila. You are my brothers, I have forgiven you. And in this there is a lesson for us, my friend. Most of the barakah that goes out of the families in businesses, these are my words which may not be liked, but this is a fact because we live in the same society. Most of the barakah which goes out of family businesses is because they break Sila Raham. When Sila Raham is broken, businesses fail. Barakah gets out of the family. Those families who yesterday ruled, today they become beggars. Or sometimes they Their position is secondary. This is because Silay Raham is not there. Allah may not bring that example again, which I saw myself. The charities being given in thousands and thousands, and the sister dies without kafan. The sister dies without kafan. Why? Because sister was married to a poor man. Brother-in-law was poor. His kafan, her kafan was given by the Jamaat. And the real brother is giving millions in charity. That charity, Imam Musa ibn Jaffer alayhi salam says, La sadaqata wa la sadaqata wa la sadaqah. There was no charity, no charity, no charity whatsoever. How can there be? Sila Raham is first. Right. اذهبوا بقميصي هذا فألقوه على وجه أبي يأتي بصيرا وأتوني بأهلكم أجمعين. He removed his shirt and he said, take this shirt of mine. Qamis is a shirt. Take this shirt of mine, cast this shirt on his face, that means my father's face. He's telling his brothers. And since he has lost his eyesight, mourning over my departure, since he has not seen me for the last 20 years, he might be thinking that I am either dead or I am lost. Cast this shirt on his face and he will start seeing again. Yartadda basira, he will regain his eyesight will be restored. There are beautiful things in this. First, the very fact that he gave his shirt, he could have given his coat, he could have given his shalwar, he could have given a handkerchief. He didn't give anything, he gave a shirt because to remind them that on the day when you went to my father to tell him that I have been eaten up with the wolf, you took my shirt, soiled in blood, and you proved to him that, Father, look at this shirt. The boy has been eaten up by the wolf. The same way today, I'm giving you another shirt, but this shirt will work wonders. The moment they saw the shirt, they remembered the first day when they had taken the shirt soiled in blood. They looked at the shirt and they listened to Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf said, cast it on his face and you will see that he will regain his eyesight. Of course, they did not believe. They did not believe. They thought this was just a gimmick. And to those Muslims who always make objections that these things have got no meaning, may now answer us. This is not Yusuf going. This is Qamis going. Qamis. The shirt which was worn by Yusuf. If a cloth worn by Ma'soom can work this mu'jiza, that it can restore the eyesight, just simply by association, by nisbat. Remember, O Muslims who talk of shirk, that to have association with Ma'soom has got barakah. It can restore the eyesight of the Prophet also. Those who talk that these things are only rasam and riwaj, don't be surprised if someone comes and takes the cloth of alam or shabih, keeps on his eyes, or goes to haram of Abul Fadl Abbas and sits there and regains his eyesight. Don't be surprised. People have got these things. I mean, people have seen with their own eyes those lame who came there and stood up and went. Those people who came eyesight lost for years, regained their eyesight. In the haram of Imam Rida alayhi salam, there have been hundreds of cases. Hundreds. People are surprised. We are told by Saudi Arabia, by Wahhabis, that all this is humbug. And even in our communities, now people have started thinking this is humbug. They don't read Quran and Majid. Then Yusuf alayhi salam says, take my qamis, cast it on his eyes, and he will get his eyesight restored. The moment they left, وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ, the moment this caravan, after receiving their food from Yusuf, left to return, قال أبوهم, here father was miles away. They were in Egypt, father was miles and miles, hundreds and hundreds of miles away, waiting from them. The moment they left with Yusuf's shirt, Quran says, قال أبوهم, the father at home said, إني لا أجد ريح يوسف. I can smell the good smell, the sweet smell of Yusuf. لولا أن تفندون, provided you don't think I am gone mad. Naturally, because they would always say, and they said it, قالوا تالله, those who were sitting there, they said, by God, إنك لفي ضلالك القديم, you are still in a very old madness and illusion. Do you know one thing? Sometimes when I want to tell you something, you say the same thing. As we meet, we say Assalamu alaikum, salam, and then we talk, and then suddenly I say something and you say, I wanted to say the same thing. Sometimes both of us speak together, same words. Have you seen that? You have. And if you have a strong telepathic attitude and aptitude, you may be able to feel somebody coming without notice. You can tell your family that so and so is coming, and he would come. He would come. And sometimes, don't ask me how, I will not tell you. But sometimes you can even call people. You can call. You can just think for a time and say so and so has to come, and he will come. And when you ask him, why have you come? He said, I just thought of you and I came. The telepathy works. That means between man and man, between man and woman, between woman and woman. In the humanity, Allah has given that power where communication is possible without any apparent means. We don't know this. We don't even study this. We are immersed in materialism. But if a person were looking that way, the other way, and I'm sitting here, looking at him, I can make him turn and look at me because I want him to talk to me. How we do it, don't ask. It requires some exercise. But to be able to transmit your thoughts without speaking a word, that is called that power of human mind, which is limitless and which knows no distance. The Qamis of Yusuf leaves Egypt. Yaqub alayhi salam here says, Inni la ajidu riha Yusuf. I feel the fragrance and good scent of Yusuf. Naturally, people sitting there thought he has gone crazy. They told him, you are in your very old illusion. But what happened? فَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ, when the caravan came, and one of the sons who was carrying the good news, now they wanted to break the news to him, to say that we have found Yusuf. Alqahu ala wajhihi. Immediately he cast that Yusuf's shirt on the face of his father. Quran says, fartadda basira. Immediately he started seeing. His sight was restored. And immediately as the sight was restored, if I were there, as a weak human being, I would have said, look at my status and look at the way I am, that I can now do this, and look, my sight has been restored. Yaqub was not ordinary person. He was the prophet of Allah. He was Ma'soom. Therefore, he did not boast of this. He said, قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ, didn't I tell you before, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. There are certain things which Allah has taught me you do not know. What happened? There was a man who used to come to Imam Zainul Abidin salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. Every day when he came, he used to say, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, teach me Ismi Azam. You know what? Ismi Azam means some great name of Allah. And the Imam used to say, Ismi Azam, you don't need special teaching for it. Why do you ask for Ismi Azam? He said, I want Ismi Azam for power. So that if I say something, it must be done. If I command, it must be obeyed. If I order. He thought Ismi Azam was for power. He was asking for Ismi Azam to work miracles. Although we have so much of Ismi Azam already in Quran, in Namaz, in everything. He was asking for it. Every time he came, he asked for Ismi Azam. Then one day Imam al-Islam told him, all right, you tomorrow will go near the gate of the city and see what happens and report it to me. He came to the gate early in the morning. He saw one man carrying a load of wood. Just as he entered the gate of the city, another man comes from the opposite side. He caught him by the collar, hit him hard, and robbed him of the woods. This man was asked by Imam not to react, just to see. He came back and he said, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I saw a very pathetic sight. I saw a man being beaten for nothing, a poor man. He was coming with his load of woods, and this man beat him hard and he snatched away the whole load. Imam al-Islam said, go again tomorrow. See what happens. Second day he went, he saw the same man. Again with a load of woods. Coming back, another man came that day also, hit him again. And this time he hit him very hard till he fell down and robbed him not only of the woods but also of the money that he had in his pocket. He came back and said, Rasulullah, I saw it again, but don't tell me to go again tomorrow, for I just cannot bear the sight of this. Imam al-Islam said, then, if you can't go tomorrow to see what has happened, I am telling you only one thing, that that man who was carrying the load of wood and was robbed knows Ismi A'zam. If he were to pray to Allah with Ismi A'zam, immediately there would have come a lion or anyone to help him and to tear that attacker apart into pieces. Have you got that patience? Have you got that forbearance? Because if you were given that power and if you started using again anyone, the whole Jamaat will be wiped off. If somebody doesn't give me a piece of meat in my thali, Bismillah. Hazrat Ibrahim ala nabiyina wa alayhi salam once only said, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Allah, lift the veil off my sight so that I may see what is happening on earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ibrahim, this is my secret. You will not be able to bear. You will not be able to tolerate this. He said, but just for a while. And just as the veils were lifted, Ibrahim saw so many things which otherwise he would not have seen. He saw what people are doing. I can't repeat those things on Mimbar. But when he saw those things, he said, Ya Allah, send your azab and finish them off, destroy them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya Ibrahim, this is happening every moment on earth. You have just seen a sample of it. I am looking at the whole of it. There are things which you cannot take. It is only meant for Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, for the most merciful. And therefore, when we cultivate that capability, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. We are not ordinary human persons. We are not ordinary mortals. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given limitless power to human mind in this particular world of materialism where pound shillings are the only criteria, where human success is measured by the success in business and how much money we have accumulated in the bank. Only that man is successful. When everything is different, our values are different, these things which Quran Majid is teaching is not appealing to us. Human mind has got that power. Human mind can exercise that power which knows no boundaries and no limits. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
For Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी, है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी, बचपन में सकीना के फिदा कर दी जवानी, है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी। तू फातिमा ज़हरा की दुआओं का सिला है, अब्बास तेरा नाम ही ज़ैनब की रिदा है, अब तक तेरा ममनून है इस्लाम का बानी, है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी। ज़हरा की लहद कांपी, हैदर ने नजफ छोड़ा, रो रो के ये शाह बोले मेरी कमर को भी तोड़ा, जब खून में तर देखी गाजी की पेशानी, है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी। रोने के लिए मौला क्या बात ये कम है, कितना तुझे मासूमों की है प्यास का गम है, दरिया पे किया कब्जा पिया फिर भी ना पानी, है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी। देखा जो लहू में तर है कमरे बनी हाशिम, मजलूम की गुर्बत पे पानी ने किया मातम, मसरूफ अजाब तक दरिया की रवानी, है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी, है तेरी वफाओं की अजब गाजी कहानी। पर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सलवात सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद। सूरतुल मुबारकतुल फातिहा।
Ahsan Jawad. This dua that we will be reciting next is a dua taught to us by Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. And it is told that if we recite this dua 100 times, we should recite this dua 100 times for the immediate acceptance of our supplications. So inshallah, because we are over 100 people on watching this, we will recite this dua once, and if everyone recites it together, inshallah, with the intention that we are praying for the quick shifa for those who are ill, especially with COVID, and for quick resolution of this time of distress, and for the rahmah and on our marhumin, inshallah. So welcome Brother Mahdi Tirani to recite this dua for us.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد إلهي كيف أدعوك وأنا وكيف أقطع رجائي منك وأنت إلهي إذا لم أسألك فتعطيني فمن ذا الذي يسأله فيعطيني إلهي إذا لم أدعوك فتستجيب لي فمن ذا الذي يدعوه فيستجيب لي إلهي إذا لم أتضرع إليك فترحمني فمن ذا الذي يتضرع إليه فيرحمني إلهي فكما فلقت البحر لموسى عليه السلام ونجيته أسألك أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن تنجيني مما أنا فيه وتفرج عني فرجا عاجلا غير آجل بفضلك وبرحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
Asad Mehdi. We'll now have Ziyarat Ashura recited by Brother Shadili Jaffer.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية، جلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. ولعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك بأبي أنت وأمي، لقد عظم مصابي بك، وأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانا وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وتقربوا إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم
وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. وأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم وارزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم بالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منه واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل لنبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أولا ثم الثانية والثالثة والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمران وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجود. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات وشفاء المرضى. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
Hassan Shadali, before we end with Ziyarat, I just want to take this opportunity to firstly thank you all for joining us for this Chalismo Majlis. And also on behalf of our family, I just want to thank you all for your words of support and of love that has helped our family get through this difficult time. I would request could we all recite a Surah Fatiha for Marhum Akbar Mama, Marhum Saida Mami, Marhum Mullah Asghar, and all other Marhumins. Al-Fatiha.
زيارة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا حسين الشهيد بكربلاء، السلام عليك يا 9 المعصومين من ذريتك، علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن، أجل الله فرجه وسهل الله مخرجه وظهوره، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.